Grace, mercy, and peace to you from God our Father and from Jesus Christ our Lord. This is the day that the Lord has made. We are glad. We are rejoicing in it. It is a good day to be alive. It is a good day to be in Formation Saturday with each and every one of you. This is Valentine's Day weekend, and so today we are celebrating relationships. This is for your married friends. This is for your single friends. So I want you to do me the huge favor of hitting that share button, letting someone know that we are in the virtual space and that we're getting ready to have conversation around what is known as the traditional marriage vows. We're going to have conversation around the traditional marriage vows. You know that Formation Saturday is our time of impartation. It's our time when we have conversations with faith leaders from around the country on subjects that we believe will improve and encourage your personal walk with God. And so we haven't done a relationships conversation yet. So I thought it was time that we take the time to concentrate on relationships, be it marriage or be it those who want to get married. And I thought it would be wise for us to use this format. And so we're going to go through the marriage vows. Let me read them to you. I take thee to be my lawfully wedded husband, wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do us part. And so we're going to have this conversation, and we're going to have this conversation with two of my favorite people, Apostle Larry B. Aikens and his wife, Pastor Olivia C.Q. Aikens. Now, we know they're part of our church and spiritual son to our predecessor, our pastor emeritus, Dr. C. Medley Hayes. And we know that he's pastoring a wonderful church in Kansas City, the Memorial Church International. We know that he's the presiding bishop and chief apostle over the fellowship, the New Vision Fellowship of Churches. And so we are grateful. Even now, they're launching a new ministry called Aiken's Family Ministry. They're going to talk about a book that they're publishing and putting out later in the year around marriage and family ministry. And I couldn't think of anyone better to have this conversation with than Apostle and Pastor Aikens. Now, they are today on vacation. They're away, traveling and doing some things. And so we arranged to sit down together and have this conversation. He, Pastor O, and Baby Deuce is with me today. And so we all sat down and we had this conversation. So, without further ado, we're going to go into that conversation. I want you to do me several big favors. Hit the share button. Let somebody know that we're talking about relationships. Two, engage us in the comments. This is how we go up in the social media algorithm. If you hear something said that you like and want to agree with or celebrate, hit the like button, hit the heart button. Let us know that you are enjoying the content that we're presenting to you today. So, without further ado, a conversation on marriage vows with our special guest, Dr. Larry B. and Pastor Olivia C.Q. Aiken, all the way from Kansas City, Missouri. Let's go into the conversation at this time. Be blessed. GB, let's welcome two of my favorite people in the whole wide world, the Apostle Larry B. Aikens and his most wonderful and beautiful wife, Pastor Olivia Aikens, Poppy and Mommy. So glad to have you. How y'all doing today?
We're doing great. We're doing great. God is good.
That is wonderful. Listen, I could not think of anybody else better to have this conversation with today because we're talking about marriage vows. And
Okay.
What I'm going to read the script, and we're going to walk through it line by line, and let y'all kind of help us young people, married and unmarried, understand what we're getting into when we get into the marriage. Wife wanted to be here with me, but she's at work, so it's me and Deuce. Here's the traditional marriage vows, and we're going to walk through it line by line. I take thee, name, to be my lawfully wedded husband or wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do us part. I know I said that when I got married, and so now I want to go back and review for those of us who are married. I want to review that, get an understanding, and for those of us who are not married, this will help us kind of set our minds as we're moving towards wedding bells and wedding cake. So, is there somewhere you guys want to start, or you want to jump right into have
No, let's
and to hold?
let's jump right in. First of all, let us say thank you. We commend you for the desire to dissect the marriage vows, and so I think it's very important. As I began to go through the marriage vows, I realized that that's a counseling all by itself. That you can do an actual counseling, which I think I'm going to incorporate. Um, that's a powerful, because just that sets a person's mindset into motion as to what they're about to endeavor. So we want to commend you on that. So when you look at the marriage vows, and Pastor O, just feel free, please, to jump in anytime. Um, to be my lawfully, I take you to be my lawfully wedded husband, lawfully wedded wife. Now we're at a point where we understand that we're making a conscious and a legal commitment, to our spouse. And when we use that term, lawfully wedded, now we're talking about the importance of the societal and legal recognition of our marriage. So that gets all of the preliminary. We're saying that we are legally binding ourselves, not only in the eyesight of God, but legally through the legal system. And let me fast forward and say, that's why when they go to court, it should, hopefully it won't happen, to get divorced, they have to legally get unmarried, because we have invited the whole legal aspect into the marriage. So that's laying a legal foundation for our commitment one to the other. What's considered legal in the eyesight of society. So that's a way of inviting all of the societal powers to be, to get into our business, if I can say it like that. And then you want me to keep going?
So let's go.
Go ahead.
We'll go right into have and the hold. I'm very
Man,
interested.
now
That
listen,
was a good one. Yeah.
that's about connection.
Yeah.
That's about the emotional connection, and that's about the physical connection or intimacy. To have and to hold,
Become mine.
to become mine.
Yeah.
My desire, your desire, for us to possess and belong, to one another. And the word whole signifies, watch this, to have and to hold. It signifies support.
Yes.
It signifies the support that comes intentionally, as we embrace each other physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So it's an intimacy that goes beyond our lips. I just made a commitment legally.
Yes.
Now I'm at a place of intimacy where I owe you the support, where you owe me. After 49 years of being married to the same woman,
Yes.
you know, we yet owe each other that support to have and to hold. So I'm really telling her, number one, in an intimate way, I want you. And then every day of my marriage, I have to continue to show her that I want you. I want you spiritually. I want you intimately. I want you emotionally. I want you physically or sexually. You see what I'm saying? I want all of that. So that's my commitment to her, to have and to hold, and that's her commitment to me. And in the process of that, we support each other through that time of marriage. And we've had 49 years of trying to hold true to this.
And may I say something on this? When first of all, when I've taken your name legally, you're not intimate with everybody. See, this is just something, our union. And that's where we make a lot of mistakes, because I wake up every morning to please him. He wake up every morning to please me. So we become more intimacy by this, because it's just the two of us. And a lot of time we bring outside people into the relationship. But once I've taken on your name legally, then I know who is first. First of all is God, but then my mate becomes my first person, the person that I'm going to please. I set out to please him.
Just the two of us.
Pastor,
We
I thought
can
the
make
same
it if
thing.
we try. Just the two of us. Just the two of us.
I thought the
Just the
same
two
thing,
of us.
Pastor. I thought the same
Building
thing.
castles in the sky. Just the two of us. You and I.
Now here's a question here before we kind of flesh this out. You said 49 years, right?
Yes, sir.
How do you keep, I'm finna use a word,
The fire burning.
the desire to have and the desire
Shucking that.
to
Man,
hold
you
Shucking
over
that.
the
asking the
long
right
haul?
people the right question.
You got to keep it burning.
Because there is in our marriage classes, we talk about growing apart, and the only way that you keep from growing apart is you have to be willing to reinvent yourself. Now, what worked for me in possibly year 1 through 5 don't work in year 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
So we're different, we change, and so we're constantly evolving with our relationship. We're older, so now our tastes in things change, our likes and dislikes change. So you're constantly evolving and growing in your marriage, and you're adapting to keep from growing apart. That's when the marriage is in danger. When you begin to grow apart and you don't get see the warning signs. So I have learned to reinvent myself. And there's still a lot of things that Olivia liked and enjoyed when we were younger that she enjoy now. But then as a mature woman, and as she matured in the marriage, we just discovered that, hey, we got to change with the times. All right, you just picked up Deuce. Deuce represents change.
Yeah.
Deuce represents a part of your life and a part of your family where he will be there. So now you have to have enough love for Deuce and your spouse.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Holy.
And you got to continue to spread your love around. And as children come in, as much as the spouse wants to take care of the children, you desire to take care of the children. Now you have to work harder to create time for each other. And there's still time to do it.
And now
So
we're doing it with grandchildren.
and now we're doing it with grandchildren. So we have to yet still reinvent ourselves as life brings welcome changes. And you do the
Oh,
same thing with unwelcome changes.
talk your
You're
talk.
constantly reinventing yourself.
Man, this is so rich. If you are enjoying this already, why don't you don't you go ahead and put some ones in the comments? Because Apostle and Pastor has just, I'm already a page of notes and we just getting started. I am literally a full page of notes and we're just getting started. Welcome changes and unwelcome changes. That's what I was writing. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then too, Pastor, let me just say this, and then too, whether you know it or not, you picked up Deuce and you adjusted and you adapted. And you had to make Deuce a part of what you were doing. That's how marriage is. You know, when these changes come, we embrace them and we adjust and we adapt. But we still keep the spirit that there's room for you. And to where no one in the marriage ever feels that there is not room for them. Because we're constantly growing and we're changing and we're adapting, but we're still each other's main focus.
Wow. So the way we keep from growing apart is to reinvent ourselves.
Reinvent,
we're going to
reinvent yourself. You would think that after 49 years, I don't have to do it anymore, but that's not the truth. I'm still reinventing myself.
Oh yeah.
And once I see what she likes, I work more toward that. You know, so we're kind of sparking off of each other. You know, but you're constantly reinventing yourself and adjusting. And I tell her all the time, I know what I used to do, I know what I want to do, but Lord know I know what I can do. And that's a part of the whole reinventing, you know, of yourself as time, you know, comes and things change.
Wow. To have and to hold. Let's try another. To have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse.
Well, from this day forward,
that's it.
That's nothing more than what we call a radical shift to a new beginning.
Yes.
From this day forward.
You can't just throw stuff out without warning like that. You gotta prepare me for that.
Yeah, okay. It's a radical shift. See, when we get married, most of the time, most people get married, they're getting married off of just love. You know, I love you, you love me, and they have not thought about all of the outside entities. It's just, I love you. So they're strictly on the momentum of love and probably somewhere in the mix, a little bit of security. But what happens when the moment you say I do, a radical shift, you know, comes in your marriage, because now you're at the place of a new beginning. Therefore will a man leave.
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying? His father and his mother and his father, and cleave, or in the word cleave means to stick as in glue.
Oh yeah.
So now you have to live a life with the person that you say you love stuck to you. And everybody can't function because they want room, they want air. I gotta breathe. They want me time. Well, you just gave up me time because you're in the midst of a radical shift. And now if you haven't prepared your mindset, now you got to wake up to the same person every day.
For 49 years.
Every day. That's a shift that a lot of people is not prepared for.
So Apostle, let me jump in and ask, because this is for both the married and the single. How do we start changing that mind to prepare for that? Some of us married folks need to work on our mind in this regard, because we're glued now. This is what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So how do we make that mind shift? That's going to be key.
what number one, and Olivia and I talk about this all the time. You have to ensure that you don't get married out of desperation. That's one of the important things. Secondly, you get married because you desire or you want to get married, not because you need to get married. And then thirdly, if you don't have some of these things in place, then you're gonna put what we call an unreasonable expectation on your mate, because if you're getting married out of need, then you're going to need this person to be something that maybe they're not. So they're at an unfair advantage. You get married when you are already whole and single in yourself. You have to be single. So what happens is two completely whole single people come together and form a marriage. So if you are half of him or half of her, two halves, I know they tell you two halves make a whole. It does not in marriage. You have to be a whole person that's satisfied with your own self. That way you don't hold a person to unfulfilled expectations, because you don't want them to start at a disadvantage. So I have to go into it. And this is why premarital counseling is important, because it tells you where your mindset is, where my mindset is, because you have to move from me to us, from I to we. You're thinking, and you have to prepare that. Premarital counseling prepares you for that, because it challenges you to think about us when you're used to thinking about I. You see what I'm saying? And me. So your shift in your thinking begins before you ever say I do. You can't wait till you say I do to shift your thinking. You're shifting from the time you decide, hey, we want to get married. Now we're working on our mindset.
Yes.
We're working on our mindset. We're doing what we do together, because it's a prelude to what's getting ready to happen. And so selfish people won't make it in great marriages, because they're only thinking about themselves.
Let that settle. Let that settle. That gotta settle. Did y'all hear that? He said selfish people won't make it in great marriages. I'm telling you, it's gonna live again. Go ahead, Apostle. Go ahead.
No, so when when you're talking about, am I you want me to finish on that, or you want to talk about from this day forward?
You go ahead, however you
okay, well,
I'm good.
Let's talk about, I just put it all together, because from this day forward, not only do I have to deal with the radical shift, but I'm also saying that I realize that marriage is now a journey. I'm on a journey. We're on a journey together that started on our wedding day. That means I have to leave some individual behind, some individual life behind, and I have to leave my past behind, and we have to embrace now the life we shared together. And we're building this life together, and it represents our commitment to one another as we build toward our future that we believe is going to be filled with love and respect and honor and support. And so we say, from this day forward, from the moment that I tell Olivia I do, it's from this day forward, the shift begins. The shift in my life, the shift in my thinking. You see what I'm saying? The shift in my friends. Everything begins to shift from that point on. From this day forward, it's us. You and I tied together. It's us now. So my mindset, but prior to that, when we decided to get married, that's when things started moving. But from the day we said I do at that altar, that's when the shift actually kicked in.
Wow.
It kicked in right then. And it's a life of you and I together. And my thinking, see, a lot of people just want to bring their body into the marriage, but you have to bring your mind and your thinking and your mindset. You know, I just did a class on mindset, and mind is how I think. Set is what I'm locked into. So if I don't bring the right mindset into the marriage, and I'm set on what my mama did, set on what my daddy did, set on what other people said, then I'm not going to give my spouse an opportunity for us to build a life, because you already go into marriage set on some things, and you don't give yourselves time to grow into a beautiful future together.
Wow. 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 We're going straight into for better, for worse, because you wearing us out. I'm telling you up front.
Listen, for better, for worse, you know, for richer, for poorer. I'm going to tie all of that together. For better, that's good times. For worse, that's bad times. For richer, that's when I'm in abundance. For poorer, that's when I don't have what I think we should have. But it's all tied together. But what it's really telling you is that marriage, baby, comes with ups and downs. Marriage is just not going to be smooth sailing. That's why that's important. And then better or worse, it's not days that we are looking for, but there are days that will come. As long as you live, those days will come. There'll be days when we can get what we want. Then there'll be days when we're on bare minimum. But it's an indication. And so they acknowledge the fact that the inevitable of ups and downs, as well, stay with me, as the unpredictable financial circumstances that will arise or may arise in marriage. And then it ties together our pledge to stand together through whatever those times be, and not waver, regardless to the external circumstances, that we're going to stay in here and not waver. Because what you don't want to do is marry somebody that when the going get rough, they just ready to go. When the finances change, now I'm going to change. I don't want to be in this any longer. Yes, you married for love, and yes, you married for security, but a part of building a family and building a life is the ability to have stick-to-itness through some of life's toughest times in marriage. I can talk about us, and I can go back to the days where we shared pork chops, where I had one, Olivia had one, and Monica and Stephanie had one together. But then I also remember the day when we were able to buy 4 pork chops. And the look that was on Stephanie's face when she was like, she couldn't believe it wasn't cut. And she's like, Dad, is all of this, man. We even made a song about it called I Can't Thank Him Enough. And I tell that story in there. But the goal is, I tell people jokingly that my wife married me for my money. And then she reminds me that I had no money when she married me. Do you see what I'm saying? So it wasn't big.
I can't
That's
think of
it. That's it. That song, we call it the pork chop song. We call it the pork chop song. But that's a part of it. For better, for worse. And then she's making this pledge to me, you know, baby, I'm with you through good times and bad.
And can I add something right there,
Yes.
Apostle? When we say for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, we'll go back to me taking on your legal name, because when you're down or we don't have, then I should be able to support you or to encourage you, and you, me, vice versa. And that's why I said that two are better than one.
Right.
Because when one down, the other one can pick them up. And that's what's very important in marriage, is that we become a team. We become a mate. We become, so intimate there that when you are hurting and we don't have, we ain't got no money, we got a whole lot of bills, then I got to still let you know that you are still my hero. You are my man. We may not have no money. We can't go out to eat, but I love you. So I support you. I push you. I build you. And then when I'm going through, it could be sickness, then you do the same for me. So it's where we come together to make it happen.
Yes, sir.
Mighty God.
And we've lived through it.
We know the story.
So with that said, I'm going to ask for some strategies for the ups and downs. Some of the things that you guys have
Okay.
weighed out over the years that's kind of helped you buffer the roller coaster of life in marriage.
Okay. I think that's excellent. One of the main strategies that I think that has helped us was transparency. Transparency means that I have her permission and she has my permission to lay it all on the table and call it what it is. But we're only transparent with each other. Transparency. And then secondly, you have to always invite open dialogue, open communication, open dialogue. And let me put a pin right here, because when people have open dialogue, sometimes you are penalized for what you say. I'm talking about the kind of open dialogue that lets me talk freely, where I won't be penalized after this. Because sometimes it's not about whether I'm right with what I'm saying or whether I'm wrong, but it's about having the opportunity to speak, and to share. So to get it all out there, how I'm feeling, that becomes, so one person can't have all of the info and the other person has nothing, or feel that their contribution means nothing. And then in addition to that, as when we go through, we both know where we are. We both know what we are up against. And so we talk about, this is not the time to go out and just buy something. You can't have, except because we have to be in the same place. We have to have the same mindset, working toward the same goal. And this is where this whole ideal of being a team. And then probably, I think one of our biggest strategies was to ensure that we turn to each other and not on each other.
Oh,
because
Lord.
when you're going through, it's easy to turn on each other, because it can be a place of frustration. It can be a place where you just you're upset, not necessarily upset about them, but a lot of times when you're upset, you take it out on the person closest to you. And so we had to be very careful that we didn't turn on each other, but we made sure that we turned, to each other, and that we were walking in the same direction, that we showed the same face when we got out in public. We was always very careful who we invited in. And that's another thing. Who you inviting in your space? Who are you listening to? Who are you getting your advice from? A married person can't get great married advice from a single person who has never been married, who has never been, in that place. And at the same time, they can't get instructions from just anybody. So that's just a part of it. We make those commitments and those promises to each other. So our strategies, and we have all kind of strategies. We got
Yes.
strategies when we argue, how we're going to argue, the best way to argue. We have strategies when it comes to travel. We have strategies when it comes to not going to bed angry,
Yes.
and starting off each day fresh. So over the years, we have developed strategies for a whole lot of things. So for us, it just depends on what the situation is. That determines what our strategy. I'll give you one, for instance. One of our strategies for us is when we argue, we hold hands, because it's hard to say harsh things when you're holding hands with the person you love. So that was one of our particular strategies.
I love that.
Yeah, she kind of loved that one. And then the second strategy in arguments and conflicts is we promise to never go to bed mad. Before the day is over, we're not going to allow the sun to go down on our wrath. That's another one of our strategies. Now, I'm not saying that we ran up there talking about, all right, no, we've done it mad. I mean, we've literally been mad and say, okay, our promise is that we ain't going to go to bed like this. So but I don't want you to get the impression that we're dancing all around. No, we still mad, holding hands, mad. But you see it dissipate as you hold hands.
And may I be honest that when you talk about this, a lot of times I could have been the one that was at fault. It could have been my fault. I may have been wrong, but I was holding on to it, and I want to stay mad. And Apostle would always come in. He said, "Well, I'm the blessing channel for the family. I'm the man. I'm the one that God holds accountable." And then he would apologize, and he did not do it. It was me that was wrong, and I would feel
such
so
a
guilty.
preacher.
I would feel so guilty. He would just say, "Well, babe, we got to get this right. We're not going to do this." And he'd be like, "I'm so sorry for what I done." I'm standing there, like, "Yeah, bring it on, bring it on." Knowing all the while that it was me. And then I just had to break down and say, "You know what, babe, it was me. I started it. I was wrong." But it took him saying that he's the blessing channel, he's the man, and I just couldn't let him take it all. But I knew that I was wrong. I knew it was me. And as growth, as we got older, I began to acknowledge when I had done wrong. I didn't even give him a chance to say I'm the blessing channel. I'd be like, okay, it was me. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have did that. And we got all right about it. But it took him being the man of the house, the king, the priest, just to apologize and say, "I'm sorry." And then I'm standing there like, "Why are you sorry? You didn't do anything. It was me." Especially if we said we weren't going to do something and then I went and did it, and it caused us to get in a bind, or it caused us to get to a place that we didn't want to be. But I learned from then that he took on that responsibility of saying, "I'm sorry," and it made me grow up faster, because I was like, okay, I know I'm wrong. I know it was me. And so I accepted it.
That's because I learned from my dad. My dad was a quiet man, that whatever happens, you're responsible for moving the family forward. So if that meant coming and apologizing, even though I didn't do it, to move the family forward, at the end of the day, God still held me, as he holds every man that's married. He holds you accountable for your family. Notice that when Eve ate of the forbidden fruit, nothing happened until Adam ate of the fruit. Then
That's right.
their eyes. Why? Because Adam was the one that God had given the instructions to, and he held Adam accountable. And Adam should have covered Eve, but the Bible said that she ate and then gave to him, and he did eat, which means he was in close proximity. He was close enough for her to offer it to him, and he should have protected her. In our families, especially when it comes to marriage, I have to cover my wife. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to be guilty of fumbling the ball. So after Adam did that, then their eyes was open because the brunt of the responsibility fell on Adam. And so God holds the man accountable. So that's sort of a backdrop on why I would come and say, hey, I'm sorry, forgive me, didn't mean to do it, all the things that go with that. And then ultimately that apology would break her down.
There was a motivation. Praise the
Yeah,
Lord.
well, I didn't initially know it would work like that. All I knew was that I don't like the spot we're in and I want to move on. But then after I did it, I saw the effect that it had on her, and then I'm like, hey, I'm gonna put this in our arsenal.
Yes, sir.
And start
Keep
using
this in
it.
rotation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yes.
So to have in the whole from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health.
This is probably one of the greatest and most profound statements in the marriage vows. One that nobody expects, but it happens 90% of the time. Nobody want to hear it. No one wants to deal with it. But 90% of our marriages are affected by it. Sickness. Sickness comes at all ages. This is just not sickness as an older person. Sickness comes in all forms, from all kind of cancers and heart disease and all of that. Stay with me now. That stuff begins to affect, especially when you start taking medication. Now it starts passing over into the intimacy, physical intimacy. And now people are strapped. People feel stuck. And they don't have enough love just to continue to take care of their mate. I've been fortunate enough that I have personally witnessed people whose spouses fell sick and they dedicated their lives to taking care of them. And I believe in my mind that that's what the vow was saying, that it was a picture of what the vow was saying. So at the same time, we have to become advocates of our health as
Good
best
word.
we can.
Good word.
Because health is the new, how do we say, currency.
Yeah.
Health is the new currency. And we have to take care of business. We have to do all we can to keep from getting sick. We have to do all we can to stay healthy and not just wait to fall sick, not just wait for somebody to take care of us, but we owe it to our mate to live the healthiest life, to refrain if need be, because it spills into everything. Sickness changes, and if the spouse happens to be young, it's an even greater challenge. The younger they are, the greater the challenge is. And if you have not secured your relationship with love, then people start looking elsewhere, and the devil get in their mind. And I'm not going to stay here and take care of you. I'm not going to be stuck with a sick man or with a sick wife. It does not play, the whole intimacy thing does not play a major role when people get older, but it does play a role when people are younger, or couples are still sexually active. It can really put a strain on marriages, but no one wants to talk about it. Nobody. So they just suffer in silence. They suffer in frustration. They're upset because sexual needs, are not being fulfilled and they can't tell anybody. And then they get promiscuous and start doing, a lot of things if they're not rooted in God and if they just don't have the kind of love and compassion, and hold those vows true to take care of their spouse. So sickness and in health means I'm committed to supporting you during times of illness. I'm committed to supporting you during times of physical challenges and even emotional and mental struggles now, because now we have to add that in there, mental struggles. But it signifies my dedication and care to uplift you no matter where you are, be it physical, emotional, mental, whatever it might be. And then to allow the compassion and love of God to continue to build our relationship. Because at some point, your relationship, as great as it is, will not just be based on physical touch and sex. Doesn't mean I don't hold her hand and I don't kiss her, but the performance is different now. Things are different now, and we got to deal with that whole aspect. But it's nothing more than giving the support, regardless of the health condition. And then let me say this: it's giving him or her the support and not going behind their back and degrading them in front of other people or to other men, to other women, because my wife tells me all the time, everybody got a friend. Everybody has a friend. So it's just about that. It's about having that type of emotional, physical, mental support, when a person is going through physical challenges.
Now I wanna add a layer to this. What happens when the spouse or the potential spouse has not been exposed to proper caretaking before the marriage? How do we start walking them towards to having the whole in sickness and in health when they don't know?
Okay, I
They've
mean
not been
that's a
taught
good
or
point.
trained.
This is one of the reasons why I'm saying that the married vows need to be a part of counseling, because it's in that they know what's expected of them. Now, if you come from a family that's not a loving family, that's not a caring family, Olivia and I came from two different backgrounds. And that's another aspect of counseling that we do, called differences,
Mhm.
because differences bring different response. And we are all products of how we were brought up. And it does play a role in your marriage. You don't think it do, but it does. So differences is very important. I came from a background where my dad always did this. No matter where he was holding my mama's hand. They were hugging. They would walk downtown holding hands. That's the background I came from. That's what I saw. Opening doors, all kind of stuff like that. So I thought that was the only way to do it. And I do that to this day. Well, and I'm not talking for her, she can speak for herself. Well, her dad loved her, and we knew her dad loved her, but he wasn't the hugging kind of daddy. He wasn't the I love you kind of daddy until he gotten a whole lot older. But she always knew that her dad loved her. She would always kiss on him and hug on him. And he, leave me alone, stop. All that old kissing and all kind of stuff.
And I didn't grow up seeing him hug on my mother. I didn't see him kiss on my mom. I didn't see him do any of that. But I knew he loved her. But I never saw that. So when I got married, I just thought it was okay to, continue to have a husband, and we go our ways and we do everything. I didn't always have to. And he'd walk up behind me and give me a hug, give me a kiss. I was like, okay, because it was something different. So I had to learn that. And as he just continued to do it, it's just like whatever you go to teach. And he continued to do this. in our relationship. I'm rushing to open the door for myself because, hey, I saw my mama open it. I can do this. There's nothing wrong with me. But it's even better when he walks up and opens the door. He shows me then that I'm his princess, and he wants to I'm his queen. He wants to do everything for me. He wants to hold my hand. He wants to show. So I had to learn this, and he kept doing it daily, constantly. Even when he walks up behind me and scares me and gives me a hug or a pat or whatever, I learned and I began to appreciate it. And then I looked for it and I desired it. So it was something that was taught to me throughout the marriage.
And then let me say this now. Her dad wasn't the hugging, kissing kind, but he was the hardest worker that you would have. I mean, great provider, So she came into the marriage knowing what it was like to see a provider provide. She knew what that was like. But getting back to a person who have never seen care, it's the kind of things, because a lot of people is going to walk into marriages facing things they've never done. But we're doing it together. That's the blessing part. But it's the kind of thing that we don't want, but at the same time, we have to talk about. We have to expect. Olivia and I talk about who are we going to stay with, LaMonica or Stephanie? We talk about that. Because Olivia said, listen, I'm telling you, when I get old, I still want to get my hair done, and I want to with my nails done,
put my earrings on,
and all of this. And so she's like, now which one of y'all gonna let me do? So it's the kind of stuff that we have always talked about. But it's like insurance. It's better to have and not need than to need and not have. So it's better to talk about it, even though you don't want it to happen. But let's talk about what care looks like. And I can tell you what care looks like is care. Let me say what care does not look like, and that's running away. That's running away. That's being able to take care of your spouse, but choosing, I'm gonna just tuck you away somewhere so I won't have to bother you. I'm not saying that there's not times when that may happen, because I know people who want to keep their spouses and continue, but physically they're unable to do so. So I think we have to talk about what care, and it's not what we want. So when it happens, everybody's caught off guard. But I think we have to talk about, what care looks like, and if you don't have children and you only have your spouse, then care looks like something else. If your spouse can't take care of you, care changes depending on your concentric circle around you and who you have. But the conversation of care should always take place.
Okay, that opens the door for this second to the last line.
Okay.
To have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish.
This is about cultivating. This is the importance of cultivating a deep, abiding love and affection for the journey of marriage. And it signifies, it's really saying that I'm making an active choice to demonstrate love for my spouse all the days of her life, and to show her appreciation, not just one day, but every day. And for us to appreciate each other. This is about lifelong appreciation, to love and to cherish. Anything you cherish, you put up on a pedestal.
Come on.
You everybody knows, this is going to be a cherished relationship. In other words, I want her to spend her days with me knowing that I look up to her. She wants to spend her days with me, knowing that she look up to me, that we look up to each other. It's cherished. I want her to know every day that I'm privileged to be married to you. I'm blessed beyond measure. to be married to you. There's nothing, too good for you that if I can afford it, I'll do it. If it's within my power, within my ability, I'm willing to do it. So it's cherished. If you got a car, you cherish what you do. You clean it all the time. You take care of it. You polish it. Yes. Well, the same thing happens with the marriage. The same thing happened with my woman. I cherish her. You see what I'm saying? So I want her to look good. I want her to look like she belongs to me. I cherish her. When we go out, I want her to look her best. And I got to provide for her to look her best. And I don't want a day to go by without her knowing that I love her. You see, I don't want her to figure it out. Does he love me? Does he really love me? Well, my actions are going to speak louder than words. And this is a journey. It's a lifelong commitment to my appreciation, to her. And so that's a part of what we call the bond of love, the bond, that unbreakable, bond of love. And I just want her to know that she is cherished. And so that's where we get. And this is a part of reinventing yourself, not letting your marriage get stale. You can't be saying stuff like, well, if I didn't love you, I wouldn't have married you. You see what I'm saying? That doesn't work when you cherish them, because you keep polishing the car. Yeah. You keep cleaning out the car. Yeah. You want the car to stay in mint condition a long time. So there's constant maintenance on the car that you cherish. Yeah. Same thing with my marriage. I have to do constant maintenance on my marriage, on myself, and ultimately on my spouse.
Now, I'm finna throw a question in here.
Okay.
We're coming to our time, but what happens, or rather, what do you do when you don't want to?
What do you do when you don't want to? The first thing I would tell you is you have missed 30 red flags along the way. You missed some stuff that would have kept you from feeling like this. People are using the excuse now, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. That means that you have grown apart. It means that along the way, stuff started happening that you paid no attention to, and now you're in a place where you're numb in your feelings. The only one that can cure you of your numbness is to have a one-on-one with God, a one-on-one with yourself, where he can renew the true spirit of love in your heart. Secondly, you have to ask yourself the question, why am I feeling this way? And that why will take you back to some things that was either never addressed or never addressed satisfactorily, or was never addressed to the point that you could move on. Maybe it was just swept up under the rug and never dealt with. So you got to go back now. When you don't want to, you have to go back and peel back the layers and deal with what has not, because there's a reason. You're not just feeling like this just to be feeling like this. Something happened along the way. Something happened along the way. And now you're at a point of frustration and devastation. So I have to go back and deal with, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? Why? Because if you don't, you're not going to give yourself to the marriage. Yes. Your spouse does not stand a chance to even get back in the marriage. Your spouse just don't stand a chance. So you have to give yourself the chance. Let me peel this stuff back.
Yes.
Let me go back. Let me deal with this.
Yes.
Where do I start with?
Yes.
And then you're honest with yourself and with your spouse. And this is why I'm feeling the way I do. You never neglect feeling. If you remember earlier, I told you that people need to talk. It's not about how their feeling is right or wrong, but it's about their need to express themselves. Yeah. You have to hear even the negative side, even if you don't want to, because it's not just for you, it's for your spouse. So you can't shut them out because that's not what you're willing to hear. Because when it happens, this is when you get to this point. I don't feel it. I don't feel like celebrating with you. I don't feel like kissing you. I don't feel like going. All of these things come, and I promise you, it's because of red flags that we did not pay attention to. So that's what happened. And that's a whole nother teaching within itself. We do a teaching called red flags.
Yes.
We do a teaching called how to know you're growing apart.
There are
signs.
Yes.
There are signs.
Deadly
It just
signs.
don't happen.
Deadly signs.
There are signs, yeah, that you have to deal with. Because if you don't, you end up with what we call toxic love.
Oh, Lord.
Your love will be toxic.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and you never have anything good to say. You just be miserable inside a relationship, and you'll be what we call surviving instead of thriving.
That's right.
And you want to thrive and not survive.
That's right. Okay. To have and to hold, from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do us part.
My God. My God.
That's what we call the final phrase.
Yeah.
The intention to remain committed for a lifetime, till death. To remain committed for a lifetime. It signifies the bond of marriage that is sacred and enduring to the very end. The only thing breaks the bond and separates us is death. It implies the commitment to work through challenges, to nurture our relationship, to cultivate our relationship, to prioritize our marriage above everything else. The unbreakable bond of love and trust, the commitment between Olivia and I, the framework for a strong marriage, the framework for a strong relationship, that we were able to produce little ones that look like us, that can look to us and know that mama and daddy is in this thing for the long haul. So a part of till death do us part is forsaking all others for as long as you both shall live.
Yeah.
Forsaking all others. At the end of the day, it's making this whole piece about us.
Wow.
I married you so I could grow old with you. I married you because I wanted to be with you until the day I took or take my last breath. I married you so I can comb your hair, even when your hair turns gray. I married you so I can put in your dentures
Lord,
when your teeth done fell out. I married you.
And still love me.
Lord have mercy.
Hey, glory.
You see what I'm saying? I married you so I can take care of you with every fiber of my being until I am no longer able, till death do us part.
Wow.
You ain't going nowhere, girl. You ain't going nowhere. Baby, baby, bring me my tea.
This is why I wanted to have this conversation with y'all. We've made our hour, but I gotta ask my favorite question. I'm asking it of the both of you. This is my absolute favorite question to ask. 49 years of marriage. Everything you know about being married to each other today. If you could go back and tell yourself anything on the day of your marriage 49 years ago, what would you say to yourself on the day you got married?
I made the best decision in life.
Shabba!
I made the best decision in life.
I mean, man, I know I wouldn't change anything.
Nothing.
Because you're talking
Even the
about
days when we didn't have nothing.
You're talking about two teenagers that got married at 17 and 18 years old.
Look at God.
You're talking about a young man that proposed at 6, 9, 12, 15, 17.
At the tree.
At the tree.
At the tree. Listen, we wanted to get married all our lives. We knew from kids.
Yeah, we wanted to be.
Listen, married 49 years. We've been together over 63.
You're gonna tell our age.
Oh, okay. But over 60 plus years we've been together. Our parents were best friends.
Yes.
We grew up in daycare and diapers.
Yeah.
And we're coming out with a book called The Story of Us that tells our lifelong story of love. But it's about all the challenges that we went through, you know, as kids, and how we made it out. John P. Key sang the song, "I made it out, all right." That's our story. But it's a great love story, and it's going to be a book of short stories.
Yes.
About different aspects of our life, and it's not all good. They're tear jerkers.
Yes.
But it's just talking about our commitment.
And we feel that it will help other people that in their marriage and in their life.
Yeah. Matter of fact, during COVID, some people found out that they didn't like each other, more or less love each other.
They were stuck in the house together.
But during COVID, we found out that we loved each other even more. So our story has just always been opposite. But man, we didn't know nothing. October 23rd, 1975, we didn't know nothing. Man, all we knew was that we wanted to get married.
Yes.
And we did. And from the time that I was able to take her from her daddy's house, I pulled up in a U-Haul truck and told her, "Get in the truck, let's go." And to show you how young she was still on the playground, swinging on the swing. And I pulled up in my Soldier BDU, blew the horn, and said, "Come on, Pee Wee, let's go." She swung off the swing, jumped in the air, landed on her feet, ran and wrapped her legs around me like the scissors, jumped in the U-Haul truck, and man, we took off to Grovetown, Georgia, right outside of Augusta, and that was it, man. And here we are today, sharing with our pastor about marriage.
Yeah.
Man, it was crazy. And the only thing I can say right now, he dead now, but his name was Deacon Herman Smith, and he didn't want us to get married, and he even told her daddy, "Don't let him marry that boy." But the only thing I can say, and I know Deacon Smith is dead in his grave, but the only thing, if I had anything to say, I'd say it to Deacon Herman Smith: "Now eat your heart out."
I love it. Listen,
Yes,
thank you so much. Y'all have been extremely generous with y'all time.
Bless you. Thank you so much.
We got to get out there so y'all can do what y'all do with Deuce and Kendall.
Okay. Bless you. Thank you, Pastor.
Yeah, and we love y'all, and we appreciate y'all so much.
God bless. All right. Bye-bye.
What an amazing time we just had with Apostle Larry B. and Pastor Olivia C.Q. Aiken. They had some wonderful content for us today around marriage, around the marriage vows. And I pray that you're blessed. If you were blessed, why don't you go ahead and put some twos in the comments? Let me know that you were blessed by the content we shared today. Let me know. I'm looking for you in the comments right now. Some twos if you were blessed by the content that was shared. Now listen, we're not going to keep you any longer from your Saturday. We want to thank you so much for spending this time with me on this Saturday morning, and we look forward to seeing you in the morning at 8 a.m. for our hybrid worship experience. Now, based on the decision of our church, Easter Sunday, we're going to start announcing it just about every time we gather. We're going to put some graphics up and so forth. Easter Sunday we're going to change our service time from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. On Easter Sunday, we'll change our worship time from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. It's going to run for a total of about 8 weeks. We're going to run from the 31st of March all the way to the end. We'll make a decision on May the 19th, the third Sunday in May. We'll make the decision on whether or not we'll go back to 8 o'clock worship or if we'll stay at 9:30. We'll make that decision and we'll move forward from there. But we really look forward to seeing you in worship on this coming weekend. We look forward to speaking with you and blessing you. Let me speak a word of blessing over you, and we'll go into the rest of our Saturday. The Lord bless you and the Lord keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you, and the Lord give you his grace. The Lord turn his face towards you, and the Lord give you his peace. In the name of the risen Savior, we do pray and ask it all. Pursue peace, follow love, go in peace, and serve the Lord. Until we meet again, peace.